I thought Universal Fan Fest was going to be another fandom event, but parts of this honestly felt like stepping into a horror movie. Between haunted forests, giant monsters, and a creepy Scooby-Doo mystery on the Universal backlot, this night got way weirder than I expected. Welcome to Villains of Horror, where haunted attractions and horror worlds collide. So in today's video, we're going to be headed into Universal Fan Fest night. This was our first time ever going to this event, and honestly, I had no idea what to expect. I truly thought it was going to be something different than what it actually turned out to be. We didn't go last year because I thought it was going to be more of a small kind of an after hours event, similar to like the pass holder takeover, where there's nothing really extra. I was pleasantly surprised with not just the event itself, but how spooky it actually felt. And honestly, I didn't expect any of this. One thing to note, when we went to this event, I will say we did show up actually right before the event started. Normally for like horror nights or these after hour events, we try to get there early, get into the park, and then get your pass for the event already while you're in there so you don't have to wait in line. We completely blew it. I didn't realize this was going to be so packed. Definitely next time I'm not going to do that. I'm either going to get there beforehand or get there probably a little bit after, just so you don't have to wait in the giant line just to get into the event. But once we got into the event, the first thing that we decided to do was the Harry Potter Forbidden Forest attraction. Now, the really cool thing about this is you still go through the maze queue for the castle, for the main attraction, like the main ride that's there, but the way that they have you linked up, you're actually going backwards through it. So it's kind of a different vibe. They just basically have you in there just for the queue line. But once you make your way all the way through and get to the Forbidden Forest after hours event, it was one of my favorite attractions of the night, and that really kind of set the mood for the entire night. So once you make your way through that queue line, you are partnered up with a dedicated professor that takes you through the Forbidden Forest attraction. And the way that they have this set up is you go in large groups of, I want to say maybe 10 to 15 people, and you all make your way through different stages. Now, throughout this attraction, you're actually inside the extended queue line for the Forbidden Journey ride, which is a outdoor section where there is trees, and it really does look like you're actually inside of a forest. The way that they have this set up is there is a ton of different animatronics inside this section. There's different little stations that you go to, and you're led by your professor that walks you through every single thing. One of the major things was the book, is you get a chance to see the living and breathing book. You also get to go through a spider trap, I want to say, which was actually pretty cool to see, as a spooky spider came down from the ceiling and then they had it lit up so it looked like there were spiders all around you. That was really cool. Another really cool call out was the centaur that comes up. The execution of that I thought was done really, really well. Even though you could tell it was still just a normal guy, but the way that they did it with the sound effects of him walking up, I really, really liked that. And then of course, the big main thing that everyone was talking about was seeing the hippogriff at the very end, which was a really interesting and very honestly beautiful looking animatronic. But this whole vibe was really spooky, kind of eerie. I really liked the fact that it was at night and you're kind of like, you're actually in the Forbidden Forest. And even the way that they had it set up, it was set up to be stay close to your professor. If you get lost, you never know what can come out and grab you inside of the forest. So I really liked that actual event. This was probably one of the most atmospheric parts of the whole night. And then of course, after that, we had to go down to the lower lot because we had to check out the Jurassic Park exhibition, which I will say wasn't necessarily spooky, but I still consider Jurassic Park a creature feature, if that makes sense. But we didn't stop. We went to take some photos. We did see some of the animatronics, which they were really cool. I do like the fact that they have everything just on display down there. You didn't have to wait really to go into that section just because there was just set pieces you can take pictures next to. They had characters walking around. They actually had a couple different dinosaurs that were there besides for the Velociraptor. So they did have a Stegosaurus. So this was a cool section just to kind of hang out in for a while and just kind of vibe out. After that, we did one of my other favorite attractions there, which was the backlot, which was a Scooby-Doo mystery. Now, I really had no idea what to expect. All I really knew from this was we got a chance to actually walk around on the backlot, and for someone who loves Universal, anytime you get a chance to be on the back lot, I think is like a cool experience. I believe last year it was Back to the Future. After hearing about that, that's what made me really interested in going this year. And doing the Scooby-Doo mystery, I thought was executed really well. I love how even when you're on the tram, they had a section of where you stop and you get to see the mural of all the Universal monsters and they light them up on the wall. I think that was done really well because that gave an excuse for there to be the Universal monsters on the back lot while you're also solving a mystery for Scooby-Doo about a film setup, which I mean, it all makes sense because they film movies back there. So it all makes sense chronologically why there would be Scooby-Doo there, Universal monsters. You're trying to solve a mystery because they're filming a movie. So in the grand scheme of things, it made sense for the story wise. They actually gave you little booklets so that you can fill out your clues and try to find out who was the monster after all. No spoilers here, but I will say my guess was correct. But some of the major callouts from that event is for each, I guess, clue section, there was one of the members of the Scooby-Doo cast. So like Freddy, Velma, Shaggy, Daphne, they were all there, and Scooby-Doo, of course. So they were actually had stations that you go to. There was actually like even little shows that Daphne would do with the Bride of Frankenstein, and there was like other things that were going on. So I thought that was cool. I did like the fact that for all the Universal monsters, they did have lighting just around them so that you could see them more clearly in the back lot while they were walking around. They were coming in and out. They had different, actors coming in and out as them, but they were around a lot. We even got a chance to see the Frankenstein like little performance where he's kind of like running around. Everyone's kind of like there. That was cool. The Wolfman was there scaring some people. Dracula was there, the Bride of Frankenstein. So it was a really cool vibe. I really enjoyed that section. And it was cool because we were actually in the Little Europe part of the back lot. So that's where they filmed a lot of those older movies. And a lot of different sections were back there. So it was cool to be back there, having some of the Universal monsters and just kind of experiencing it all. And another quick thing I will say is the ground there just felt kind of weird, I would say. I don't know if they filled it with sand prior and like removed it, but it did feel really like gritty. I don't know how else to explain it, but certain sections the ground felt just kind of like gritty and sandy, and I was just thinking to myself like, wow, this is kind of interesting. Like I wonder, is this just how the ground feels here, or did they do something that were they filming something here and they had to remove all the sand and everything like they normally do inside of the Old West section of the back lot. But while you're back there, you can eat the Scoopy snacks, you can get certain things, you can stay back there as long as you want. Once you get back there, you have to pretty much take a tram back to the main park, but it's the same thing like how at Horror Nights you take the tram, the Terror Tram, you get off, you walk the section, then you get back on the tram. That's like the only thing I would say I just dislike because I always feel like it's so discombobulated. It's kind of a hassle. Everyone just kind of like crowds and like runs to the tram, so it's just not my favorite part of the night. But if you can get through that, it's totally worth doing. One of my favorite things about that night. And then after that, we did go down again to the lower lot and we did the D&D experience. Now, admittedly, I don't have the most D&D experience besides for like Baldur's Gate, like more recently. We do actually have a couple of the cards and things like that, but I'm not really the biggest fan, if that makes sense. So I don't really know terribly too much besides for just Baldur's Gate, a more like recent adaptation of D&D. But this was also a really big call out where I would say this was probably the experience that felt the most like a haunted maze, where it was actually built out like an inside attraction. Now, I will say the thing about this, it was inside of the, I believe the sound stage that is behind Transformers. So it did make me wonder, because that's where like the Weekend Maze normally is. And I think last year that was for Five Nights at Freddy. So it made me wonder, are they building something in there currently? Because that's where this was. Now I know that this was a redo of, I believe, the year prior. I'm totally fine with that because of the animatronics in there were cool. The effects were cool. You got a chance to see this giant monster animatronic, and it looked honestly really, really cool, even though we were in the far back, so we didn't see it super up close until we had to go through that section and then we walked past it. But before I even get to that, the way they have it set up is once you get in line, you go in like a big group, then they break everyone up. There's two main, I guess, heroes that are kind of like, they split the room up in half and you kind of go through each section, but you kind of like stay with your person, even though you're all kind of going to like different rooms together. I did like the fact that it was like interactive. They asked someone to come out and help, you know, do a spell to light the lights, and like they did a thing, the lights turned on, they went to another room, something else happened. They told us to like get in a stance, get inside these lights and things like that. So that was really cool. And then we had to fight the giant animatronic monster thing. And then the very end, the big boss, there was a spell that was done, I believe, and we defeated the boss and then we did win. It was really cool. There was definitely some spooky elements with that because of the big monster animatronic. Like if you're like a little kid, for sure, that would probably scare you. Another nice thing was our character was a tiefling lady, which I really liked because of in Baldur's Gate. I really like Karlach, I believe that's her name. She's like the tiefling. They're like the devil people. They just look kind of cool. They have horns. So that was cool that they had one of those characters inside of this attraction. And then after that, we said, why not? Because this actually took us a really long time to get through to this part. The night was pretty much ending, but we said, hey, while we're down here, let's go through Nintendo World real quick, because they did have a special little thing out for Yoshi. And at this point of the night, it was really thinning out. So it's kind of similar how at Horror Nights, later and later in the night, things kind of thin out quite a bit. We got a chance to take a picture next to the purple Yoshi, so I was happy. There was also like a booklet thing too, so you could figure out some other stuff in there. We didn't get a chance to do that, but we got a chance to take a picture with the Yoshi. So that was a cool little thing that we did. But overall, this event was a fun event. I'll definitely be back again next year. I think this is a event that I would probably do once a year. Now that we know kind of more about it, what it was, I would probably get the Express for this so you have a chance to do everything, because we didn't get a chance to see the One Piece show. We didn't get a chance to see the Sailor Moon thing, which that was two things that we wanted to kind of do, even though I know the Sailor Moon thing was just inside of the like 4D theater, but I think it would have been cool. We didn't even get a chance to even take pictures of any of the other characters just because of the lines were really long, I will say. So this event is a pretty jam-packed event. So if you can go, I would say do it. If you can get Express, I would say try to do that as well. Or if you can get into the park before, like if you have a pass like we do, get into the park beforehand and then get your pass for the event so you can just stay in the park. You don't have to wait in that giant line to just get into the park, because by the time you get in there, the line's already pumping. You're going to be behind at that point in time. But overall, it was a great event. Now, if you want to see one of the other events at Universal, check this video out on the screen right here. Subscribe for more, and we'll see you guys over there.